in the bill we did last year, Director McCarthy, I asked for asked you all to work with the National Academy of Public Administrators to conduct an independent study to create a definition of community affordability. This would be in a situation where a community might be protected if from their water rates going up too quickly, but they might not be protected from their water rates hitting that cap and two or three other things in the community hitting that cap. And I just wonder if you'd give us a little bit of an update on where we are on that study. And I have a couple of other questions too, so I don't need a 5-minute update, but are we?
I'm happy to provide you a more detailed update. My understanding is that a meeting has been planned, but I'll go back and check and make sure that we're moving aggressively. I absolutely agree with you that an integrated planning process is the best thing to do, and we should be looking at affordability with a more comprehensive approach to ensure that they can move forward with integrated planning and be comfortable that that can be done in a reasonable way.
Well, and you understand, as other discussions we've had on this, I do believe you understand the purpose of this is to be sure that we don't have 3 or 4 things or even 2 things happening at the same time that happen as if they were not having an impact on those very same families that they deal with. And in terms of impact of cost, under the Clean Power proposal,
yeah.
Certainly, one of the things that I've had a lot of input from the rural electric co-ops that really do serve many of our lower income counties in the country and serve about over 70% of the geography of the country. We have more than one county in Missouri where the customers from that rural electric co-op are already at the 20% level of their income. If the kinds of increases in rates occur and utility bills occur that have been anticipated with clean power, what can be done to minimize the impact of those dramatic power increases on rural electric co-op families?
Yeah, well, we have spent a lot of time with the rural co-ops, and I think rightly so, to continue to work with their fairly unique challenges given the constituencies, the customer base that they serve. We're working really closely with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, both the Rural Energy for America program as well as the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Loan Program, so we can provide whatever support the federal government has to offer as they're thinking about their strategies. I'd also point out that given the flexibilities that we have provided, there are opportunities for rural co-ops to actually think beyond their own borders about what they're able to actually do that could provide them significant economic opportunities. And I would, lastly point out that a lot of the utilities are reaching out to the rural co-ops, the larger utilities, to try, because they are very much interested in renewable energy projects, because in rural communities there's a lot of wind and there's a lot of solar opportunities, and they are becoming very big customer bases. So there is a dynamic in the Clean Power Plan that could very much provide opportunities for rural co-ops to expand the diversity of how they provide electricity, but also economically benefit from the Clean Power Plan in a very direct way.
In that case, that would involve an outside investor, you would
it would involve just a collaboration between them and some of the larger utilities to think about opportunities to actually join together in a joint plan, and to be able to allow the utility that wants to make investments to offset their greenhouse gas emissions to be able to utilize the renewable energy that's in rural communities as an inexpensive way to get reductions, but also a way that will reduce energy costs for those communities. So there are wonderful relationships that we can build, and we'll continue to sit down and work with the rural co-ops and try to make sure that there are no opportunities lost in terms of their ability not just to meet these challenges, but also to benefit from them.
Well, Missouri's 80% dependent on coal. We were 82% dependent on coal just a few years ago, so we must be headed in the direction that you would like to see us head. But 80%, and the rural electric co-ops are more than 80%. Dependent on coal. The impact in those counties and those areas is going to be greater, in counties like Pemiscot County or Shannon County and in the southeast and south central Missouri already are at the 20% family income rate for utilities, and anything that impacts that
Yeah.
has a tremendous impact on what those families can do on the waters of the U.S.
Yeah.
The GAO found that EPA had violated the Anti-Deficiency Act when conducting its social media campaign promoting waters of the U.S. One of many criticisms of how that rule came together. What are you doing about that?
Well, we have a report into the Office of Management and Budget. Senator, we didn't disagree. We didn't agree with the GAO's findings, but it doesn't mean we're not going to respect the process. And we have a corrective action or a report into OMB, and we're going to do a couple of things. We followed all the rules of OMB in terms of how you do our social media outreach. There were two issues which the GAO found that they had concerns with, and we're going to provide an opportunity in particular for when we do a blog post that has what they call a hyperlink that goes to another website. We found that some agencies can provide better and clearer acknowledgement that you're leaving the federal website when you use that hyperlink. We have already taken the same action. That should provide I think, level of insulation that GAO might be looking for. But we're waiting for OMB to do a full review of that report. But any funding that we used was limited at best, if we used any, in terms of the two social media outreach issues or efforts that they had concerns with.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm out of time. I'm sure I'll have some questions for the record. And on that issue generally of who's paying for advertisements or things that show up on social media websites, I think people should see that that's clearly paid for by taxpayers if it's being paid for by taxpayers. Thank you.